Perhaps the most controversial and talked about forbidden romance of the modern age is homosexuality. It seems as if homosexuality is almost always shunned or hidden in a variety of cultural settings, causing the homosexual person to feel societal pressure to conform. Marriage is the best example of this forced conformity. The homosexual person is unable to marry the one they truly love and is forced to be dishonest to those around him or her. By analyzing different cultural settings depicted in media, we can see that a homosexual person is often pressured into deceitful situations by a wide sweeping, harsh view of homosexuality. In the movie The Imitation Game, the mathematician Alan Turing is unable to feel sexual attraction to his wife, Joan Clark. Turing realizes homosexuality from a young age, but was never able to become honest with himself. This led to consequences, such as blackmail by a Russian spy. Ultimately, Clark divorces Turing, and Turing loses his relationship with his only friend. Turing is charged with indecency, primarily because of his homosexual orientation, and is chemically castrated. He commits suicide shortly after. The fact that Turing could be blackmailed for his homosexuality when the UK itself was in jeopardy just goes to show how deep English society's negative view on homosexuality was. Turing was pressured with nowhere to go, entering a false marriage, and living in fear of exposure. His only friendship was ruined because he couldn't be himself in the first place. With further examples, it's easy to see that almost any homosexual in any culture is subjected to these views. Relating it to our class, the wedding banquet is the best analog. Turing entered a traditional marriage much like Wei, despite his homosexual feelings. They both were pressured by their respective societies to conform, Wei by the traditional Chinese culture, and Turing by the conservative English culture. Relationships such as parents and child and wife and husband are made fragile by society's general view on homosexuality. Two young men in the countryside of Wyoming, Ennis and Jack, fall in love with each other. They know that society shuns homosexual relationships, so the two unwillingly part and go their separate ways. They both marry their respective wives years later, but maintain an affair with each other. Jack wants Ennis to come live with him, but Ennis refuses in an attempt to uphold societal expectations of a good husband. Ennis's wife discovers this affair, and their marriage dissolves. Jack later dies, and Ennis is left a divorced man with a dead lover. Brokeback Mountain exemplifies two men's forbidden love for each other in a society that expects them to be husbands in a traditional man-woman marriages. The two men yearn for each other and are only truly happy with each other, causing them to have an affair behind their wives' backs and ultimately destroying Ennis's marriage. Brokeback Mountain is similar to Love's Lone Flower in that the main character, Ennis and Yuan Feng, are in a forbidden love with someone of the same sex, Jack and Wu Bao. Both relationships experience conflicted feelings about going against societal norms. Both characters are also left with deceased lovers by the film's end. Another connection is the theme of lost opportunity in Brokeback Mountain and Lust Caution. Despite Ennis only feeling happiness with Jack, he refuses to go live with him because of his family. Similarly, in Lust Caution, Wang Jiaqi originally had feelings for Kwang, but he does not reciprocate until later in the film when she had already moved on from her feelings for him. At the film's conclusion, both are dead. If Kwang had acted on his feelings earlier, would the pair have reached a better conclusion? Likewise, if Ennis had gone to live with Jack despite going against societal norms, perhaps they may have lived happily afterwards. But comparing the scenes shown of these two Western movies, it is obvious how much being homosexual can strain a relationship. Despite Clark trying to deal with Turing's homosexuality, Turing pushes Clark away out of cowardice and fear for the future. Similarly, in Brokeback Mountain, Ennis's marriage with his wife deteriorates into divorce after she discovers that he is in a homosexual affair with Jack. Our next example is the Please Don't music video by K-Will, a Korean singer. While the lyrics of his song do not have any underlying tones or ideas of same-sex relationships, his music video shows a lot of it secretly. In the music video, K-Will's best friend is getting married to a girl. Throughout the whole video, you think he's in love with the girl, but at the end you realize he's actually in love with his best friend. In this video, K-Will struggles with his homosexuality and his love for his best friend, as he is forced to hide it from those around him. This relates to Judo, the platonic hair, and Lust Caution, because K-Will is not able to be with the one he truly loves. Like the platonic hair, K-Will cannot be with his best friend because of differing sexual orientations. K-Will is gay, and his best friend is straight. Similar to the platonic pair, where they are both women, but one identifies as a man and likes women, while the other is straight. This relates to less caution in judo because marriage interferes with two people being together. K-Will couldn't be with his best friend because he was getting married. One of the reasons Ya-Chi couldn't be with Mr. Yi was because he was also married, and Tianqing and Judo couldn't openly be together because of Judo's marriage to Tianqing's uncle. K-Will also feels the need to meet social norms and to be in a traditional heterosexual relationship, and ends up projecting his feelings onto the girl and makes up this imaginary relationship with her. This is similar to Chen Shui's In Search of Angel's Lost Wings. The main character feels so denied of love that she imagined an entire relationship with a woman that didn't even exist. In addition to our project, we asked a couple of UT students on campus about their thoughts on homosexuality and marriage. Here's a few of their responses.
It's just something people are born with, and it defines who people are, and it's not a bad thing.
Homosexuality is okay. It's not that big of a deal. I don't understand why everyone makes it out to be a big deal.
I think it's something that should be allowed. I mean, they're not hurting me. Why should we hurt them and take away their rights? It shouldn't affect anyone around them. It should be, normal, but that's not the truth. I mean, when you see a homosexual couple around, people generally look at them and people generally say, think to themselves, that's not normal. If the way it should be is people just, go on around doing their normal business, but it's not.
Well, if a homosexual kind of decided to marry someone that wasn't homosexual, and if they didn't have some sort of pre-agreement, I feel like it would become a big problem later on. Or if it was just the homosexual keeping it a secret from his partner or her partner, it would just become a big problem when they, if they decide to have children or something and they split up.
Especially within modern America, I feel like I would probably be standing up more for myself and be having to deal with, people not being okay with who I would be.
Through the analysis of 3 different cultural settings depicted in media, we can come to the conclusion that homosexuality has a widespread forbidden connotation. This is overall harmful for not only the individual homosexual, but to those around him or her as well. In order to progress as a society, we need to allow those around us to be honest with themselves and others.